Hey y'all, welcome back to the Femolution podcast. I'm your host, Erica Marie, and last week we talked about the FPI, that FemFlow Protection Index. So we talked about protection, we talked about what it actually means for your money to support you instead of you constantly supporting it. And this week, we're going to go deeper, okay, into something that a lot of people feel but don't always have the language for, okay? This week, we're going to be talking about the gap when you have high income but low protection. Now, I want to be very clear before we get into this, okay? Because there are two types of people in this gap. They're the ones who think that they're good, everything feels fine until something shifts, and then everything gets exposed. And we've already talked to that specific group that exists in this gap. We've talked to them over multiple episodes. So that's not who this episode is for. This episode is for the ones who already feel the gap, okay? It's for those of y'all who are making money, but you're still holding your breath. Like, yeah, your income went up. You're bringing in more than you ever have before. So you're covering your bills. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing, right? And on paper, everything looks good. But internally, it doesn't even feel good. Because you can't slow down. You can't take your foot off the gas, not even a little bit, without feeling like everything's about to slip or you might crash, right? And it's not just what you're doing physically. It's what's happening for you mentally, because you're not just working. You're holding everything together in your head. You're tracking it. You're thinking about it. You're rethinking it. You're going over decisions that you make countless times, trying to make sure you made the right decision and that it's not going to come back and bite you later. You know, you get in that overthinking loop, right? You're managing everything constantly. Like, even when you hire people to help you because you know you're going to scale and you know you need the help, like, you're over here micromanaging them because you're afraid that if they screw up, everything you built is going to come crashing down around you. Like, the smallest mistake is going to cost you everything. And that is exhausting. I know you feel it. Your nervous system feels it. Your body is telling you, we need a break. We need to breathe. We cannot keep going this way. At some point, we're gonna collapse ourselves, right? You having these conversations with yourself every single day, hyping yourself up, trying to motivate yourself, reminding yourself like, man, you got this. You've been through so much. You started here and now you're here. Like, just keep going. You got it. You got it. Keep going. Like, can't nothing break you. If anybody could do it, you could do it. You over here giving yourself pep talks every single morning just to be able to make it through the day. Now, don't get me wrong, okay? I love a good pep talk as much as the next person, right? I love to speak positivity into myself. I love to encourage myself. But there's a difference between encouraging yourself and practicing self-love and a traditional pep talk, meaning like you're talking yourself through why you need to keep pushing through, why it doesn't matter that you feel like you're about to collapse, right? You're like, oh, I could be bending, but I'm not going to break. You're sitting there talking yourself through not giving up, right? You're pushing yourself. You're like, you got this. There's a difference. It's a fine line. Okay. So think about it this way. If you're speaking positivity into yourself and you're acknowledging your accomplishments and you're acknowledging the things that you've worked through, right? To keep pouring into yourself, that is a good thing. Okay. But if you are having conversations like this with yourself every single morning, just so you can keep going, to give yourself the motivation and the energy and the drive that you need to keep going and keep performing at the same level, and never allowing yourself grace, never allowing yourself to have a bad day, never allowing yourself to take a break, never allowing yourself to relax, that's where you're crossing the line. And it's no longer pouring into yourself. It's literally pushing yourself past your limit. It's no longer respecting your capacity. It's ignoring it. It's saying my capacity doesn't matter because I cannot afford to end up where I was again. I don't want to be back there. I don't want to be broke again. I don't want to be stressing about money again. So you start talking to yourself as if the weight of the world is on your shoulders. Because technically it is when you're in that gap, right? So your income's up there, but you're so scared that it's all going to go away that you're forcing yourself to start operating at this level that you were never supposed to operate in long term. So even though you're out here hiring help, right? You're doing all the things that you were told you were supposed to do in order to scale and in order to, bring all that extra income in, but what's happening is you're still not giving yourself the break. It's not capacity protection if you are micromanaging the very people you have hired to take some of the work off your plate. Everything does not have to be on you. The weight of the world should not be solely on your shoulders. When you hire a team, everybody in that team should be equally invested into the success of your company, of the company as a whole, right? Because when the business makes money, we all make money. When the business wins, we all win. It's a team effort. It shouldn't be, oh, I got to make sure that so-and-so is doing what they're supposed to be doing. Because if this client isn't happy and they stop paying us, that's going to be a major blow financially. Or, you know what I'm saying? Something like just that type of situation. I know y'all know what I'm talking about right now. Okay. So like you're still thinking about the money every single day. You're like, oh my God. Okay. So if so-and-so doesn't pay, like, what am I going to do? Right. Because you're so dependent on operating at such a high output level that you're putting an insane amount of pressure on yourself, and you're basically having to talk to yourself every single day just to get through the day, just to have the motivation to continue doing what you're doing, right? And you started your business because you was passionate about what it is that you're doing. But somewhere along the way, you started dreading it. This is like a 9-to-5 on steroids. You work at overtime on top of overtime on top of overtime, and you got a whole team, but you're micromanaging every single one. So what have you really taken off your plate? Why are you so worried that everything's going to slip? Because if you built it from the ground up the right way, instead of just, worrying about scaling fast, you worried about scaling sustainably, making sure you hired the right people, had the right team around you, and that you had systems and processes and workflows, and you wasn't skipping no steps to get where you are, you should not be worried about your business collapsing. But look, I'm not going to go too deep into this one. I just want you to understand, like, I know what that feels like, right? Like, you can tell I'm talking from experience. I know what the gap feels like. I've been there. And it's okay. I'm not shaming nobody for it. We all human, right? We all had this system that we was born into that showed us how to manage our money, right? But it never showed us how to protect our money and ourselves while doing it. So we was playing by the old money rules, and the old money rules praises hustle culture. Y'all already know this, right? Praises hustle culture. Just keep pushing through. You got this. If anybody could do it, you can do it. And then everybody's over here like, oh, if I can make it, you can make it. You know what I'm saying? And we all just hyping each other up and basically praising one another for running ourselves into the ground. We got to stop that though, right? So when you're in the gap, your income's up there, but you're so scared that everything's going to go away if you just have, one bad day or a week or a month or whatever. You're just so terrified that you're going to lose it all that you're still bracing. Your nervous system never came down. Like you never got to breathe again. You didn't allow yourself to breathe because you never really took the pressure off of yourself. You're keeping it on yourself so that way you can continue to perform at the level you feel you need to perform at in order to keep the money flowing in, right? And when something unexpected hits, you feel it, right? You feel it immediately, not eventually, immediately, because you were already bracing. And that's the part that no one talks about when we talk about, you got to hustle harder, started from the bottom. Now we hear, nothing to something, rags to riches, all those little, stories that we be hearing all the time, right? Nobody talks about the fact that once you make it, like when you came from nothing and you made something out of nothing, right? Once you get up there, nobody talks about the fact that now it's a different type of pressure, because when you was at the bottom, you was stressing about how you was going to pay your bills, right? But now that you at the top, you're stressing about how you're going to continue to stay at the top so that you don't risk falling back down to the bottom and feeling like a failure. That fear of failure never went away, right? If anything, the pressure increased because now you got way more people depending on you than you did when it was just you trying to make it work. All right. So listen, think about it this way. Like technically we're doing well financially, right? But it don't feel like we're doing well. It feels like we're just maintaining this level. We have to maintain a certain level of output. We have to maintain a certain income level, right? And if you feel like you're maintaining something that could literally just drop, if you're not the one holding it up, at some point, you gonna start realizing like, I make too much money to be feeling this way. Like, why is my nervous system still bracing? Why do I still have that fight or flight response kicked in? Why is it in high gear? Like my income increased, so I should be good. I should not have this level of pressure no more. So why am I like this? Why am I so tense? Why does everything still feel so like imminent failure, right? Like it's just right around the corner. Like all I got to do is slip once and everything goes away. Why? Like who wants to live their life like that? So you start questioning it like, man, more money, more problems. I understand what they meant, right? Because your income went up, but so did the pressure. So did your stress. And not just the pressure that other people are putting on you, the pressure you're putting on yourself. So do yourself a favor. Take a breath. Start using the system that can take that stress off of your shoulders, because your money has a job. It's going to be supporting you. It's going to make sure your bills get paid. It's not going to require you to run yourself into the ground to maintain the level of life that you're living right now. Don't do that. You don't have to, okay? Because you know what? Like, if you stay on 24/7, you keep pushing, you keep producing, you keep showing up at the same level because you feel like you have to, Not because you want to, but because you feel like you have to. That's the gap. That right there is the gap. That's the gap that you can feel. My income is high, but I don't feel safe. I'm making all this money, but I feel like it can all go away. That's the gap right there, because I'm not even going to say somewhere along the way, right? We was all taught this from a young age. Like, we were told that making more money was going to fix that feeling that we had, that fight or flight response that we had, right? That once our income went up, our stress was going to go down. But that's not what happened, right? Our income went up, but the pressure stayed. And in some cases, even got worse, because now we have more to maintain, more to sustain long term. We have to do more to keep going because our lifestyle done upgraded, but our system didn't. So now the income that was supposed to create relief is just holding everything together by a thread. And if it slows down, everything's going to tighten up. You won't feel it like fast. I'm telling you. So that's why you be in this loop where it's like, I'm making money, but I don't feel supported. I'm not safe, right? So I'm generating the income, but now I'm also responsible for holding everything together because I got so many more people depending on me than there ever was when I wasn't making nowhere near as much money, right? If anything, shoot, I would take that level of stress than the level of stress I got right now. Why? It's because you feel like you can't breathe. You feel like it's too much because there's nothing absorbing the impact except for you, except for your nervous system. Okay. And this is where most people get it wrong. All right. They'll just be like, nah, I just need to make a little more money. You know what I'm saying? Then I can breathe because I'm going to stack my bread up. You know, I'm going to put all this in savings. I'm going to do this. And then I'm going to be cool. Right. But no. Because you already did that. You making more money than you ever made before. Okay. But that's how you got here. So it's not an income problem anymore. It's a protection problem. Your income is already doing all the work. And it was never supposed to on its own. Right? Like, when I say that, I mean, like, the second you started making more money, you decided it was time to upgrade your life because you had spent all these years sacrificing to get where you were. So now you feel like, now I'm at the point where I can indulge. I deserve this. You know what I'm saying? I'm about to start treating myself. And then you're spending all this money. And before you know it, your monthly expenses, your survival, your baseline keeps going up and up and up and up and up. And now you're making more money, but because your expenses rose just as fast as your income rose, that pressure is there. But now it's even deeper, right? Now it's hitting you harder because now the stakes are even higher. But your money is supposed to be supporting you, but it cannot support you if you don't give it a job. If you don't tell it how to support you, it's not going to. It's just going to go wherever you tell it to go. It's going to be spent wherever you decide to spend it. Your system needs to be absorbing the shocks. You got to have a system for your money. Okay? That system is going to create space and it's going to stabilize you so that you and your nervous system are not the ones carrying it. You don't have to carry everything, okay? Your money right now, though, inside of this gap is not protecting you. You are protecting your money. That is the whole gap. If I had to sum it up into one sentence. Your money's not protecting you. You're protecting it. All right? High income, low protection. And until that changes, it's not going to matter how much you make. I guarantee you. Because that pressure, that tension, the constant feeling of needing to stay on 24/7, that's not coming from your income. It's coming from what your income is being forced to do and what your nervous system is being forced to compensate for. All right? But that's what we going to fix though, okay? Because again, you got to have a system. So, before we do that though, I need you to understand what this is actually costing you, because I promise you it's not just financial. All right? So, if your business only works because you're thinking about it constantly, you don't have stability. You have pressure. Okay? But next week, we're going to talk about the real cost of staying stuck in this gap. Okay? What it looks like when your brain is the thing that's holding your business together. When your nervous system and those constant pep talks every single morning just to be able to get out of bed and go to work and do what you got to do are the things that are keeping you going. Because those was never supposed to be the job, right? So next week, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what it's costing you. We're going to talk about something called the cognitive tax. All right? So make sure you follow the podcast, turn on your notifications. I'm going to see y'all next week, next Tuesday, and we're going to talk about it. All right? Bye.